And it could lead to the unraveling of other massive lies and conspiracies.
Well, Dr. Paul Roberts, let me expand on that, because from my research, and I mean, it's on record this happened, there was over 20,000 U.S. troops in German POW camps that were grabbed by the Russians. And by then, Roosevelt had died, and Harry Truman, said, Stalin's our ally, and basically we're not going to get in a fight with him. They gave him half of Eastern Europe. They gave him half of Germany. That's the thing that made, and now documents have come out on this, that's what caused Patton to have a complete conniption fit, and so they killed him. And so this has been a policy for a while, that troops are just expendable animals, as Henry Kissinger said. And so this goes back even to the greatest generation. And I would challenge all these Pulitzer Prize winning people to go look into that, because that's hidden in plain view as well.
Yes, I think you're right. The people, Frederick von Hayek, in his book, The Road to Serfdom, he has a chapter, Why the Worst Always Get on Top. And that goes not just for totalitarian systems, but for democracies. The worst rise to the top. And we certainly have the worst people in the country in Washington. That's where the worst people are. And these kinds of people don't have compunction. They don't have shame. They're not moral. They have ruthless agendas that feature themselves. And that is why democracy itself is no protection from a ruthless government.
Well, that's why you've got to have the republic, where the minority as well as the majority is protected. And I've done a general research of history. I don't claim to be a historian, but I read history books almost every day as my entertainment. That's how I actually got informed as an adolescent and a teenager, was because I happened to pick up history as a form of entertainment, not knowing I was educating myself on the way the world works. But really studying our founding fathers, they weren't perfect, but there was Western expansion. They wanted to be left alone by the bigger mafia, the crown, to build their own little systems. And so they created a system to restrain the avarice of king rats, of the strong men. And that's why this country produced half the world's wealth, only 4% of the population. So one of the few times in history, the flower of the Renaissance, and now watching that being drugged down and being used as the engine of world tyranny, it's very frustrating.
Yes, it is very frustrating. But if we can just keep making people aware that every American government since Nixon has covered up the abandonment of American prisoners of war. And, we have this definitely proved in the case of Vietnam, and may well be proved in the case of the World War II prisoners. This should help bring the sort of most gullible, flag-waving patriots to some realization that the government isn't trustworthy and it doesn't look after anyone's interests, not even the soldiers that are out there giving up their lives and limbs.
Well, what about this issue? They asked the troops to torture. They asked them to execute people in Afghanistan illegally, which then corrupts them. And then every time it comes out, like Abu Ghraib in Iraq, they then prosecute the people who on record were following the White House memos and orders. So it's not just that you'll be left behind, it's that you'll be used up and then scapegoated later, because there's no honor among these thieves that run the system.
That's exactly right. I don't know why anyone who was aware would have anything to do with the military. I don't know why anyone would join. I can't understand why the students at West Point and Annapolis and the Air Force Academy just don't get up en masse and walk out, because they're going to be betrayed too. Or they're going to be used for evil and then betrayed. And even if you don't want to be, you're forced to go along with it, or your career is destroyed.
But that's my point, that there's a systematic evil Throughout history, we see Hitler killing his brown shirts that brought him to power. We see things that happen in every society. It's like a tropism. It's a pathology in corrupt elites that their greatest glee is hanging their own attack dogs out to dry. Because if I was one of these evil people, but I guess I'm not evil, so I can't understand it, I would at least defend my henchmen and my servants to have that servant group, my Praetorian. But no, they treat their Praetorian like toilet paper.
That's right, because they learned from the Romans that the Praetorian can take over the ruler. So Stalin ends up killing his own heads of his secret police and his own colleagues in the Politburo, because they know that no one has any integrity or morality, and that they're all fair game for one another. So whoever strikes first and gets rid of the others is the survivor. And that's how the system ends up eating itself. But of course, what we don't really care if the evil people eat each other up. What we're worried about is that how they're destroying the rest of us who are not among their ranks. And this is the fact that the American people need to wake up to, and that you keep telling them about every day.
Well, that's another issue. I mean, I've seen your transformation in research the last 5-6 years we've been talking to you, from saying they're just a bunch of nuts, a bunch of crooks, they don't know what they're doing, to saying, no, this is clearly by design because all the evidence shows it is. I want to briefly talk about the economy with you and all these headlines. Is Europe heading for a meltdown? Just on and on and on, what's happening worldwide, where this agenda's going, and also about them just openly announcing that they make fake bin Laden videos. Doc, for people watching on prisonplanet.tv, I'm going to give them a document cam shot of this. For radio listeners, the headline is CIA Unit's Wacky Idea Depicts Saddam Hussein as Gay. And it's Spy Talk, Jeff Stein, a little propagandist. But in the 7th paragraph, they just let it slip out. The agency actually did make a video purporting to show Osama bin Laden and his cronies sitting around a campfire swigging bottles of liquor and savoring their conquest with boys. One of the former CIA officers recalled chuckling at the memory. The actors were drawn from some of the darker-skinned employees, he said. Now, I asked Dr. Roberts during the break, because, I knew the answer, but I wanted to get his take just to see if he concurred. Why are they doing this, Doc? Why are they admitting they're growing opium in Afghanistan and have our troops on TV saying they do it? Why are they admitting, saying that they killed the same al-Qaeda leader 14, 15 times, never retract the last time they killed him? Why are they now just admitting the bin Laden tapes are fake? And he gave the answer that I agree with. Dr. Roberts, tell folks why.
Well, I think, Alex, what they're doing is showing us that they have immunity, that they can do whatever they want. They can do it openly, and they can lie to us openly. And they can tell us that they commit crimes, and yet they don't suffer any consequences. I think they're getting us accustomed and used to the fact that they can do whatever they want and even admit it, and that we just have to sort of not notice and accept the fact that they are unaccountable and can do whatever they want. So it just makes you accept the culture of lies, and it makes the people realize that they're powerless. Here's the government that lies to us, and then admits it lies to us, and then goes on and lies to us some more, and then admits it some more. And it's just kind of a way of showing the people that they don't count.
I'll expand on that, though. There was a city employee, John Villarreal, who went to Huntsville for 3 years. And I confirmed a city employee was stealing money and trying to shut down Access TV 5 years ago now. So I secretly recorded him, put private investigators on him, because that's where I started out. I wasn't doing a show there anymore, but I wanted to keep it alive. And he came to me, and I didn't have a camera rolling. I was coming out of the bathroom at the Telecommunications Commission downtown. He was waiting for me in the hall, and I had my camera guy inside for the commission. And he walked over and he shoved me in the chest. And he said, "You bet I stole the money, and I'm going to kill you, and you're never going to stop me." And I said, "That's a threat. I'm going to send your ass to prison." Excuse my French, folks. And I did send him to prison. So it's also kind of a bravado they do, like, yeah, we made the fake tapes. Yeah, we did it all. So what? So I don't think they're invincible, and there is a wake-up call happening, but I'm afraid they're going to start wars, Dr. Roberts, as the smokescreen for what they're doing.
Well, I'm certainly going to start more wars. There's no doubt about that. Let's just hope they don't get a nuclear war going with Russia.
Well, we know Cheney now, it's come out, really did want to start a war with them, and that his whole 888 thing.
Well, that's been the whole neocon line for years. They've wanted a nuclear war with Russia. That's part of the bravado, yeah. Well, let's talk briefly about the economy.
Yeah, let's do that. 1 minute break. We're going to come back for 5 minutes with you. But again, we're here laughing about it. It's gallows humor because it's tough. We want nuclear war. It's fun. Because they've got all the women, all the whores, all the money. These guys are like Hitler, who would sit there watching Warsaw burn.